morning. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the February 8th, 2018 meeting of the Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair of the commission this year. Joining me today is Commissioner Shelley Bueller. Good morning. Vice Chair, and Commissioner Bob Archer. Member. Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Clerk, our first item.
Our first item is item 3, consent agenda.
There are 5 items on the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments regarding those 5 items?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
We have vouchers totaling $568,524.51. General expense has $183,462.35. Holding accounts with State of Kansas, $167,022.74. And then the combined total of Parks and Recreation is $50,678.79. And I do not have any questions. I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move for the approval of the correction orders.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, Public Works Solid Waste. Number 1, consider approval of request to solicit bids for 10 various solid waste vehicles for a total estimated cost of $1,245,000 from the Solid Waste Collections operational budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Block, Public Works and Solid Waste. As mentioned, this is a solid waste item, and this is the types of vehicles that we believe we are in need of replacing this year for the solid waste department. As mentioned, the estimated cost after trade-in is $1,245,000. The funding would come from our solid waste operations budget, and again, as I mentioned before, this is all user fee-based funds, and so there will be no tax monies involved. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Tom, can you guide us through, when we go through a criteria, making sure that these are, do we look at the age of the vehicles? Do we look at, how do we determine how many vehicles we're looking at and what we need?
We look at age and the frequency of repair and repair costs, maintenance costs on a certain vehicle, and you know how well it's operating and how that relates back to cost, how much it's costing us to have that in operation. And when it reaches a point where we feel it's not cost effective to have that piece of equipment in operation any longer, that's when we look to trade it in and replace it.
Now, are some of these recycling vehicles, or are they?
Yes, yes. The side loaders are recycling, and I think, I don't know necessarily, I think right now, yeah, it looks like only the recycling ones. The side loaders would be in the recycling department. There are some commercial recycling trucks that we use, but I don't believe any of those commercial recycling trucks are in this list.
Now, Shawnee County Waste has had recycling for 5 years now, I believe.
Yeah, as long as I've been in the department. I came in toward the latter half of 2012, and then we started the curbside recycling program January of 2013. So, yeah, curbside recycling has been in place just 5 years, a little over 5 years.
I know that with my own home waste, I find that I recycle more than my recycling has gone up and my waste has gone down. Is that something that you would see across the county with our solid waste?
I sure think so. I mean, personally speaking, that's what we found also, is the amount of trash that we put into the landfill, our own family, and I think most people are finding this, has probably, at least the volume, has probably been cut in about half, I would guess. The weight, maybe not so much, because recycling materials are light, like the plastics and cardboards, light for the most part. but the volume, and that's really what you're worried about when it comes to a landfill, is the space it takes up. So if I come from a normal family, which that may be up for debate, I would say those that do recycle probably reduce what they put into the landfill. I would say close to 50%. So, which is a great thing.
So as that trend increases, would we anticipate seeing more of the side loaders, more of that equipment, and looking down the road and addressing what our equipment needs are?
I don't necessarily think at this point that we will need more side loaders, because the amount we have now, 5 years now is getting to the point where we start to replace them. So we will be replacing more side loaders in the years to come. This is the first time we're replacing the side loaders. But the reason I don't think we'll need to increase that is because we have some room to grow with our routes, and so we can do more with what we currently have as far as capacity wise. So even though our user base has been increasing every year, and we're at record numbers for our customer base, but we have the capacity to take them in at this point without having to increase routes and crews and trucks. So that's what we've been doing.
Okay. Other questions, Commissioners?
I was going to ask about customer base, but Tom's already addressed that. So thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Tom.
I'll move for approval of the requested.
A second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B2, consider authorization to solicit bids, waive bidding procedures, and purchase various materials to effectively maintain its roadways through the 2018 calendar year and the 2018-19 winter season, with funding from the 2018 Public Works Road Maintenance Fund, the 2018 Public Works Bridge Maintenance Fund, Special Bridge Fund, Monmouth and Grove Townships roadway funds.
Commissioners, Tom Block again with Public Works and Solid Waste. This is the Public Works item, and this is our annual request. Basically, it's our blanket request to go out for proposals for all these different materials that we use throughout the year for road maintenance. When we go out for a request for proposals, we will then come back to the commission for formal approval to award the bidding. But this just gives us the authorization to then solicit bids for all these materials throughout the year. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Tom. Our next item.
Item C, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider approval of request to award the bid to Conroy Contractors, Inc. for the completion of the Gage Park Fitness Trail, including both the northern and west portions, consisting of the concrete trail, bridge, culverts, and other flat work in an amount of $525,440, with funding in part through a National Recreation Trails grant of $288,833 for the northern portion of the trail, and a Sunflower Foundation grant of $110,000 for the western part, and $167,766 from the Parks and Recreation Building Maintenance Fund, for total funding of $566,599, and authorization and execution of contract C-55-2018 for same.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby. That might be the longest lead-in we've ever had, Cindy. This is basically, we're asking for your approval to accept the bid and contract for Conroy Contractors for the trail. Got a picture of the actual trail. If you remember, we submitted grants and received grants from Sunflower Foundation, which was a 50-50 match, and from Wildlife and Parks, which was an 80-20 match. We have that funding available in our building maintenance fund. We are ready to get the project started now. As you can tell, the total price came in under our project budget, which is always good. So I anticipate those figures dropping. We won't be paying quite as much as what we had originally had planned. So be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Let's talk about the route first. Where exactly is this going to
Okay,
go?
this is the north end, and the west end. As you can see, it starts right here at the entrance and goes all the way. talked about taking it right along the 6th Street, but there's really not very much room for a trail there, so this will be a 10-foot wide trail with a bridge going over part of the lake, and all the way around to hook up to the 10th Street.
Will it connect with, on 10th Street, is there a sidewalk or trail to make it go down, or will we need to
Yes.
have one later?
Yes, we currently have that project finished when they redid the 10th Street, so we have a sidewalk that it's connecting to right now.
So will this then make the entire loop around the Gage Park?
Yes, it will.
And so what's the total distance we wind up all the way around?
Bill? Bill Rippon, would you know that distance? You want to come on up, Bill?
It's going to be 2 miles, probably.
Okay. Just,
Well, I know this part that we're doing is roughly 4,300 linear feet, so if you probably double that.
I just know that that's the first question I'm going to get asked from people that run, is how far is it? So that there's a lot of people that use the Washburn University, and it's with their sidewalks, and it gets a lot of use with people that are out exercising with the lighting, which brings me to my next question. Are we looking at lighting along the trails that we're doing?
Bill, you want to come up?
We have looked at lighting, but lighting does 2 things. It keeps people away and attracts people. Sometimes it's good to, when it's dark, for people to go home. But this might be a different situation where you have more people there in the evenings, and maybe they feel safer there. But generally on trails, we don't have lights. And
Again, I just know that in hearing a lot of feedback from people that utilize the university, the complaint commonly is half of the square around the university looks like a landing strip, the other side is you're running in the dark.
Yeah.
So,
And I see this being popular like the Washburn Trail, where it's a perimeter loop around the Gage Park, and so this one may be a good one to put lights on. I don't know. We just have to study that a little bit more.
That will also probably come up when we're doing our Gage Park master plan. And to let you know, we have consulted with them. They've seen the drawing. They're comfortable with this. We didn't want to put something in that they're going to take out immediately and go, oh, no, that doesn't fit. So they are comfortable with this. We presented this, Bill presented this to our advisory board last month, so, and they were excited about it as well.
Randy, can you help me on just the landmarks that goes past,
Right.
why it goes in, and, yeah,
Mainly because this is the pond area,
okay?
and this is the dam of the pond, and we gotta go around it because there wasn't enough room between the dam and the street to have a decent-sized trail.
Okay, and then,
And then we got a bridge, and Cook, Flat, and Strobel did the engineering of the bridge and all the culverts. And then it basically comes up here, crosses that road. We have a few railroad crossings in this, and that's again why we hired Cook, Flat, and Strobel to do the engineering of all those projects.
okay, okay, good. All right.
really, any other
No
questions?
no other questions, thank you.
Well, I just point out that this is another enhancement to our quality of life in Topeka and Shawnee County. And it's interesting that Matt Pravarnik's here, and he continues to equate quality of life and economic development. So I think this is an excellent example of how we continue to promote quality of life in Shawnee County. So I'll move for approval of the
I'll
request.
second, but part of the goal for Parks and Recreation also is to add how many trails, miles of trails per
We're
year?
trying to get to, is that 150 miles of trails, John, I believe was our ultimate goal?
Total, yeah.
So this.
Total?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thanks, a second.
Before we depart, if I could, Ms. Pravarnik, do you have any input as to how this might enhance Topeka or Shawnee County?
It's interesting, trails, but just it's music to my ears. We were just talking about it at a Momentum 2022 meeting earlier this week, and talking about our metrics, and one of the metrics being contemplated is miles of trails in Shawnee County and Topeka. It definitely is something that is a quality of life initiative, and young talent really look to their trails, their walkability, and their bikeability. And so it's exciting just to hear our county talking about adding these trails and enhancing our trails. So.
Okay. Before we take the final vote, just one last question. I understand that the financing, the part from the county, this is, maybe have Betty address.
Yes, Betty Griner, Director of Administrative Services. This has been set aside in the Parks and Rec Building Maintenance Fund and has been set aside for a couple years now, as when you approved this project. Did you have anything else, John? But yes, the money is set aside.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. Yeah, if you recall, our advisory board did quite extensive work on funding different needs that the department had. One of those needs was grant matching and planning budget. That's in our building maintenance fund, and then we also have the deferred maintenance funds in there. When you guys approved us to go out for bid is when we set aside the money to make sure that we would have enough, should you come back and say yes, which I'm anticipating. I will say that a lot of your questions were about public involvement. The master, in a few days, you'll have before you a Gage Park master plan contract. At that time, there'll be significant amount of public improvement in which we talk about things like lights, connections, trailheads, all of those type of things. So all of that will be coming within the next week or so.
Okay. Good. All right. I think these are all good things for quality of place, improving our overall health, help our health rankings, and I'm glad that you already have the money set aside, so we're not taking away from other programming in order to be able to do this. So, motion by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Our next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
This is an opportunity for any department head or member of the public to address the commission on any other item. Come on up.
Thank you. I'll be as brief as I possibly can. I have one observation I just want to make. When I come to these meetings and I look at you three leaders, it makes me think of when I see you outside of this context and where I see you. And I imagine sometimes you may not want to see me coming because I'm usually coming to ask you to do some work of some sort. But I just want to thank you for how hard of a working commission that we have. And when I talk to my peers around the country, and I talked about the connectivity and the engagement that we have from our county elected leaders, it sort of blows other people away that we have this much engagement from you all. So I just want to say I appreciate you taking my calls and continuing to say yes, whether they're before hours, after hours, just the work that you do and the engagement that you have and your willingness to roll up your sleeves and work for the betterment of the community is impressive. I do want to apologize to all three of you to let you know that I will not be able to attend the JADO meeting later this month. I wish I could. I'm going to be in San Diego with my son, who will be graduating from Marine Boot Camp that day. And so I'm sure you understand. But I will tell you that we have some big news. We have a couple of items of big news. One, I think we have an economic development announcement that we're going to make that day. And we're very excited about that. And then, fingers crossed, but I'm hoping that we have the International Economic Development Council to make an acknowledgement of Go Topeka that day. That's not a sure thing yet, but we're hoping for a good announcement there. The other thing is, you guys have probably already had an opportunity to talk about this, but I haven't been here since it happened, but the Cirque du Soleil. Wow. And so it was impressive. I actually let myself procrastinate and not go until Sunday. Had I gone earlier, I may have gone twice. But my message is to just, and I've been saying this just any way I can, if you didn't go to that, shame on you. And the reason I say that is because if we're going to continue to have the quality of shows like we had there, we have to support it. Every one of those shows should have been sold out. And I hope in the future they can be, and we're going to have to support that stuff. But it's as good or better as anything you can see in Las Vegas or Kansas City. It was incredible. Oh, I do want to mention, I came straight here from a meeting that I had with 35 small business owners this morning. And I didn't know what I was going to expect. It was a networking group. And at the end of the meeting, all 35 went around the room and gave me, and Kayla Bittler was with me, gave us a verbal commitment that their part in Momentum 2022 is that they were doing a verbal out loud commitment in front of their peers that they were going to speak positively about Shawnee County, positively about Topeka, and they were going to do their part in working on our community morale. I will mention that Jackie, her pipeline's very full. In addition to her belly, so she's expecting soon. But her pipeline is really full. The project that we're hoping to be able to announce during JADO is one of Jackie's expansion projects with a significant capital investment. Molly's pipeline is also full. We're still a finalist on some big ones. It's so frustrating when you can't get the company to move as fast as we want them to, and so. Sometimes I wish we could just go to their community and get them to move just a little quicker for us, but we're definitely working on some good projects there. A lot of discussion on our entrepreneurial ecosystem. If you look at a lot of our successes in Topeka and Shawnee County, you will see that these were entrepreneurial startups at one time, and I like to use Advisors Excel as one of our examples. And so there's work to do in that area, and there's a lot of work being done, and you will hear more about that as we progress. Momentum 2022 is beyond writing strategy, and we're definitely into the implementation mode. We're just a couple of months into it. We're contemplating metrics and how we're going to measure ourselves and be as open and honest as we possibly can about how we're doing and create our own report card. The last couple things I'll mention is that we have brought on a senior financial officer, Richard Martinez, who's a CPA. He was formerly the chief fiscal officer for the Department of Commerce, so he joins our team this Thursday. We are, hopefully you've enjoyed the management report that we're sending to you on a monthly basis. We're trying to get you as much information in a Kiplinger style as we possibly can. So look for that the third week of every month. And then lastly, we're pretty excited about what some of our community leaders have done on Top Tank and anxiously awaiting the announcement. But what we want to do is we want to take the other 9 or the other companies that didn't maybe get the top award and see what we can do to help them become viable, successful companies in the future as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I think that it's a lot that you've been able to accomplish in a very short period of time, and a lot of, it's been a breath of fresh air, breathing new life into our community.
Yeah, if I may, I'd like to, well, first, thank you for that unsolicited testimonial about the county commission. That's appreciated, but I'd like to return the compliment and say that I'm thinking back several years ago to where we were with Go Topeka and the Chamber of Commerce, and since you've been here, I think the outlook has brightened considerably, and so thank you for your leadership in our community, too. It is noticed and it is very deeply appreciated. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Agreed. And Matt, is it true you don't even have an office anymore?
Nope.
You might explain that a little bit.
Well, DTI moved in with us because all of the organizations with the collaborative, we've been more collaborative with our economic development organizations. So DTI, we all are on month-to-month leases, and DTI's landlord was tired of them being on month-to-month. So they sort of got kicked out, so they moved in with us, so I decided to go office-less, and that is actually something everybody should try once in a while, because you learn how to be paperless, too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Cindy Evans with Shawnee County Extension. Well, I really hadn't planned to share anything this morning, but Matt was so inspirational. I wanted to segue off of that and let you know about the Shawnee Startup Seed Community, just an update with that. We started a year ago as a Network Kansas e-community and have a loan fund to be able to provide some loans to small businesses. So we did a couple of loans in our first year. But our loan fund can also be used for educational efforts. And so just this week, we have finalized a team of businesses from Shawnee County that will be attending John Shalert's Destination Boot Camp in Longmont, Colorado in April. He is a national marketing expert, and the whole idea is to help those businesses become a destination, because the way our consumer base is today, many times we think that we're trying to draw from people right around us to be our main customers. But people are willing to drive at least 3 hours, maybe more, for an experience. And they will pull out that cell phone, take that selfie, and say, guess where I am? And I've listened to John speak. He says in the first 7 seconds, when somebody enters your business, they're making the decision of whether they're being wowed, you know. And so that is what he is going to be helping these businesses do. Our selections are Cashmere Popcorn, that's Bill and Angie Anderson. Glacier's Edge Winery, Mike and Lisa Steinert. CD Trade Post, which is Travis Youngblood. Prairie Glass, which is Kim Ledbetter. Moberts, which is Al Strutman. And Premier Farm and Home, Chad Bullock. And so they will be attending along with one of the community reps from our Shawnee Startup Seed community. And because we are sending 6, it becomes a community reinvention program when John will then return here in a couple of months and do a program free for the community. So stay tuned. I'll have a lot more to share, but a lot of good things happening relating to business and economics, I think, here in Shawnee County.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other announcements or public comments this morning? Commissioner Bueller.
I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Clarence Irish. He's a Parks and Recreation employee who was acknowledged yesterday at Safe Streets for being a champion of character. Hope you, all of you saw that coverage. So I'm going to thank him for just caring and taking time to respond to a woman who was, he was clearing some snow on a trail and saw a woman sitting there, and she was very cold, almost frozen to death, and got her some care. So for just taking the time, he could have said, just passed her by, but he took the time to take care of her. So just very much appreciated. Reminder of the garden show. Everything's going on this weekend at the Expo Center. And then just to let you know, I have jury duty on Monday. So we'll see what happens. And I'm in group 7, so
Ooh.
yeah, I know. So we'll see.
We'll see if you're here.
We'll see if we're here. I'm here.
Not a lucky number.
Commissioner Archer.
I don't have jury duty on Monday, and I don't have anything to add. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I don't have anything else, except that please do go out to the Home and Garden Show, which is this weekend at the Expo Center. There's a lot of work that's being put into the setting it up, getting it ready. So getting ready to think about spring. Now is the time to plan, to get ready for spring and all beautification. So, Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 6, executive session.
We do have a need for an executive session today, not to exceed 30 minutes total, and it will be on the issues of consultation with an attorney for the public body or agency, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship related to the county's contract with Roadrunners Hockey LLC, and I would anticipate 20 minutes for that period, for that portion. And then also to discuss personnel matters related to non-elected personnel, to discuss management structure for reporting directly to the Board of County Commissioners, and for that, 10 minutes. And that is a motion for executive session for 30 minutes.
A second.
And, Commissioner?
I'd just like to include discussion of non-elected personnel, and I know, other than the reporting process, just in general, if we could.
So noted. It would be for non-elected personnel.
Yes.
And I might also add, there may be action taken, but I don't know that at this point. So I know that our partners always like to know if there is going to be action or not, so stay tuned. There is a motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed?
I did second. That's okay. That's okay. Go ahead.
It's 3-0.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
We are back from executive session. No action has been taken. We are adjourned.